Welcome, Michelle and Bill and Leslie. Lovely to have you with us tonight.
After all these years, we're always together.
Okay, welcome friends. We are live on Facebook. To our Facebook friends, we say Erev Tov, good evening. Welcome to the third of our 4 in-between classes between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We are in the sacred 10 days of the Yamim Noraim, the days of awe, where we turn inward and do tshuva and look at our souls and ourselves, both to uplift and also to evaluate, to ask for forgiveness, to offer forgiveness. Welcome all our friends that are here on Zoom. It is so lovely to see your faces, those of you whom we can see on screen. Tonight, you are in for an incredible treat. Tonight, we are blessed to have our own Jerry Ripley offer some healing high holiday music for you all. He really, in our community, needs no introduction, but it's not proper to host someone as leading our sessions without a proper formal introduction. So with that, I turn it over to our temple president, Stuart Sweet, to share a little bit of Jerry Ripley's bio with you all.
Good evening, everybody. Jerry Ripley has served Congregation Emmanuel since August 1983. In addition to being our accompanist on organ, piano, and harp, he directs our volunteer choir and instrumentalists and our professionals. He holds a Bachelor of Music degree in organ and church music from the University of Redlands and a Master of Arts in harpsichord from Claremont Graduate University. In 1998, he added harp to his musical life, playing both pedal and classic harp. We are so honored that he has chosen to spend the last 37 years enriching our lives. Just a quick note before we get started. As you can see, Jerry's fairly far away from the camera, so feel free to chat amongst yourselves, but he won't be able to see what you're writing for better or worse. With that, I give you Mr. Jerry Ripley.
Okay, well, I hope you can hear my voice. Yes? No? Okay, good. Just make, even though the red light's on, you never trust until it goes. All right, I know we titled this program Healing Music, but that's a really big topic, understatement. So what I've chosen for this time is to take some musics that speak to healing, wholeness, various aspects of our being, and we'll see where this goes. Interestingly, one of the interesting quirks about the word for song, no matter what the language, the Latin heritage languages, German, Hebrew, Chinese, the nouns are all in the feminine. Except for in Hebrew there is shir, masculine, and then the verb shira, feminine. Things can change there, but it speaks, I think, to some of the healing aspects, the nurturing, like the dove. So actually, what we're going to start with is, let me give you a little bit of text. If nothing else, I have learned that Judaism is really about a lot about text. I say that with affection. And so, from Handel's opera Rodelinda, no authorship given for the English version of the opera, but this is a very famous aria in the second act, and I'll play just a fragment of it to help set the mood. Art thou troubled? Music will calm thee. Art thou weary? Rest shall be thine. Music, source of all gladness, heals thy sadness at her shrine. Music, music ever divine. Music, music calleth with voice divine. There we go. This being the days of of teshuvah, of return, I'm going to take two of the melodies that we associate, actually two, sorry, I can count, yes I can. Two of the melodies that we associate with return, teshuvah, and I'm going to add something to them. Tune by Karlbach, and then the folk tune, and then we'll come back into, because to return, you could make a slow dance of that. You know, you're moving gradually. You need something to help move you. So a little bit of a tune from the Renaissance called Folie d'Espagne, or La Folia. Because how can you hit wholeness if you don't get back to starting somewhere? Start with movement. And I hope you could feel, I hope I conveyed to you the sense of like a heartbeat underneath, tying all the songs together. But once we've returned to that space, wherever that space is, we wonder, now what? What are we asking for? What are we hoping for? How are we going to get there? Because we need help. Is it from just the divine? Is it from our acquaintances, our friends, our family? And we're thinking along that line, how do I get to that point of return and then the comfort of return, that you've gotten home, wherever home is for you, whatever that is. But as a Bukran melody song asks, who will give me wings? The answer in the text implies it could be the divine, it could be community, it could be the divine within your community. You get the idea. There is no one answer. There are many answers that all seem to stem from one source, the source, but how it manifests does seem to be for each person. So, to express that, I'm going to take an arrangement by a friend who's, I think, somewhere in a plane right now back to Israel, of that song, Mi Nani Of. Those of you who attended the Sephardi program that Cantor and I did a few years ago will recognize it from that. Nancy danced to it. But Mi Nani Of. And then once we think we have some sort of answer about what is the source for that lifting up, giving wings, then of course we want comfort. So 2 settings of the text from Isaiah, Nachamu. We started with questions and we ended with a rest and calm. You don't get there quickly. You have to do the journey. Part part of that journey, though, of course, is we're wondering, where's home? And I'm going to spend that space. I mentioned that earlier. So as Psalm 27, of course, is part of this season, the next few things will involve some of the tunes we heard that are settings of text Psalm 27. Psalm 27, verse 1, set by Canterbury Vogel, her tune for that. And then Psalm 27, verse 4, Achat Sha'alti. Let me remind you of what those two verses are. And then following that, I will go into tunes or fragments of tunes for Matovu, because we would hope that if we've indeed been granted the blessing of being in that holy space forever, what else is there to say but Matovu? So verse 1, Psalm 27, verse 1. The Lord is my light and my help. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Whom shall I dread? And verse 4, one thing I ask of the Lord, only that do I seek, to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord, to frequent God's temple. I would imagine you recognized some of the various tunes from Matovu. Once we're there, we're in that holy space, whatever that tent is. Then we ask for help. And one of the psalms that, rather than being crying out in pain, I've always thought of as one that says, quite honestly, it's not a wishy-washy emotional relationship with God. It's more of a, hi, I trust you to honor our commitment to each other. So in this case, a setting of the tune for Lev Tahor. It's used for Psalm 51, verses 12 through 13. And again, the setting by Sunita Stanislav. Some of you might remember her. She was the first Heller concert harpist friend, now living, as I said, outside of Tel Aviv. She and her husband. And maybe we can have her back someday. But Psalm 51 simply says, and I do not read it, as I say, as emotional whining, but more as I trust the commitment. It reads, the covenant. Restore to me the joy of your salvation and uphold me by your generous spirit. And I will follow that with, of course, you will recognize the tune, Psalm 121, Esai and I. As I hope I've begun to show you, healing covers various places and forms in our lives. In this case, healing through process. Lev Tahor. We've established that sense of we're together on this journey. No one's alone. No one has to be alone. I should put it that way. No one has to be truly alone, unless you just need space. But how good it is when we can have this journey together. So towards that end, 2 settings of the text Hine Matov. How good it is when we dwell together peacefully, harmony. One, to one of our familiar tunes, and I'm going to take the liberty of shifting from that then into a Sephardic tune. Same text, but a Sephardic tune for Hine Matov. a sweet tune. Excuse me here, I'm having a little lamp problem. There we go. We've gathered with community. We were more than ready to pray. But one of the things I learned early on, I was at an ACC, American Conference of Cantor's Guild of Temple Musicians Conference. And I had, this was my first few years, and I kind of cheekily, because I thought it was a neat question to ask, the scholar in residence was Rabbi Stuart Kelman. And he was talking about the Shachrit service, and I had noted that all the prayers up until Baruch Hu were, for the most part, not all, but for the most part, were all in first person singular. And then after the Baruch Hu, changed to first person plural. I asked him about this. I said, so what's the deal? Because that didn't fit the background from which I came. And he looked at me, he just laughed. He said, how can you pray with the community until you have worked out your own issues? When you're ready to pray with yourself, then you can pray with the community. So briefly touching a little bit more on this subject of prayer and watching my time carefully, I'm going to set a heartbeat, davening, you might say, on the harp in the slicha mode, which is used for davening, not singing to a tune or a setting, the Avinu Malkeinu. So we do a little bit of davening on the harp and then go into the tune. And we hope, of course, our prayer, including Avinu Malkeinu and everything else, will be acceptable. Say Adonai Eloheinu v'Amcha Yisrael. And I will go into familiar Sephardic melody for that. Watching my time because I don't want to run over on us. About that thing in Judaism and words. Of course, there is simply the book. Of course, then the many books that have been written thereafter commenting on that book. We know what I mean, Torah. So very simply, two tunes that I think equate each other very nicely. Eitz Chaim Hi, of course, referring to Torah. But we hope from study, of Torah and all the subsequent literature, this might help towards our part in B'Sefer Chaim. And for B'Sefer Chaim, consider this translation from Dr. Richard Saracen. May we and all your people, the household of Israel, be remembered and inscribed for a good life and well-being in the book of life, blessing, well-being, and prosperity. So, very briefly, Eitz Chaim Hi and B'Sefer Chaim. On Rosh Hashanah, we listen, for course, for the shofar. And Psalm 150, which, of course, we're known for singing various tunes, and choirs being setting by Lewandowski. But a little folk tune setting of Psalm 150, which, if you read through the text on your own, is basically an orchesography. That's a big fancy word for what all the instruments were that were used in the ancient temple. So, briefly, a little folk tune on used for the tune. For the text, Hallelujah, Psalm 150. Of course, if you've got all that orchestra, you might as well dance a bit. So, Hallelujah, followed by just a little bit of Renaissance dance music. Why? Why not? We've been praying as a community for this healing of our souls, our bodies, the world. And I think Hannah Senish and sometimes I have mental break. Naomi Shemer put it very well. I'm simply going to, you know the words, Eli, Eli. My God, I pray that these never end. But along with these things never ending, quite a long time ago, I came to the conclusion, you got to take the bad with the good with the bad. It makes a wholeness. It makes its own healing. So towards that end, to follow Eli, Eli, song by Naomi Shemer, Al Kol Ele, which allow me to read just a bit of it for you if you're not familiar with it. For the honey and the bee sting, for the bitter and the sweet, all the things which join as one to make our lives complete. For the future of our children, for our prayers will never cease, for the hope that with tomorrow comes a world of peace. We're always praying for shalom. And then the refrain, Al Kol Ele, Shamor Eli Chatov, Al Hadvash Va'al Ha'oketz, Al Hamer V'Hamatov. Sorry, voice is going. So Eli Eli and Al Kol Ele.
German blood now.
Bravo.
Nice. Good. Towards the end, right?
Perfect.
Any question or comment on anything? I still can't read your text from here, but that's my little musical healing journey for you for this middle day.
Thank you so much, Jerry. We are so honored to have Jerry as part of our congregational family. I'm so glad that he's here. And a night like tonight reminds us exactly how talented he is, as if we needed to be reminded. You know, folks, our Togetherness series wraps up tomorrow at 7:00 p.m. with Professor Fran Grace. You might remember her from the program that we did back in December of 2018, which was about 300 years ago by my reckoning. She's also been a frequent guest at Congregation Emmanuel since. She is going to be taking a meditative approach to the High Holy Days. I hope that you will join us because it promises to be the fourth in a series of 4 great events at Congregation Emmanuel. Of course, I'll see you again for Shabbat services on Friday, on Saturday morning, and for Kol Nidre and Yom Kippur. In the meantime, have a safe drive home. Be careful. Don't drive intoxicated. Keep your hands on the wheel and do what you feel. Have a great night.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you so much, Stuart. Don't forget, if you did not donate canned food to our canned food drive, we are still accepting canned food, which will be donated both to Redlands Family Service as well as to Cornerstone Church. Thanks to the Holder family who has organized it. Deep gratitude to you, Deb. Thank you for helping us heal our community. We wish you all a beautiful night, and thank you, Jerry, for your incredible music, and thank you, Stuart, for your leadership. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.